So you got to go back totally crazy. This is a slide that I put up. I put this up for every group of children I work with, K through 12. And I asked the same question. Pick a box. If you can tell me where you want to go, we can have some conversations about what you're going to have to do to get there. Pick a box. I'm not here to tell you what you should do. I'm not here to tell you what your dreams are. Just pick a box. And then whatever box you pick, I'll talk to you about those boxes. Now, here is what is problematic. Again, this is in the book. There's a young lady at Washington High School in South Central LA who stood up in one of these sessions. And she put her hands on her hip and had her neck doing that thing, you know, popping back across her shoulders. She had plenty of attitude. And I said, honey, what's your dream? She said, what do you mean what my dream is? I said, baby, what you gonna do? She's a high school senior. She said, I'm gonna become a doctor. I said, good. What kind of doctor are you gonna become? One that get paid. I said, well, you're gonna become a surgeon, you're going into pediatrics, you know, you're going into anesthesiology, and you can see, you know, first off, I didn't mention this earlier, but I want to make sure you're clear before you leave the room. You must be smarter than the children you teach. You must be. So you must be prepared for all the foolishness that comes out of their mouth. So once I threw that out, I could see the glazed look go across her face. I knew I had her. She didn't know where I was going. So her response was, yeah, I'm gonna be all that. And I said, well, honey, what's your plan? She said, what do you mean what my plan is? I said, honey, what are you gonna do when you graduate from Washington High School to become all of that? She said, I'm gonna go down to the hospital and fill out one of those doctor applications. Now here's what is problematic. Again, this is all in the research, it's in my material, I've written about it, I've I've taught. You should understand, we have children who can go through us in high poverty school districts. No one has ever asked them about their dreams because no one thinks that they are deserving of a dream. So here she goes through this entire school system, wants to become a doctor. No one ever made a connection between high-level math and science, science grades, attendance, attitude, behavior to her outcome because she was denied the conversation. So again, I ask his children, and then the next question, because when you do meetings, you must always have your children in the room with their parents. Now, I know many of us like to have child care. Children go one way, parents go. I want them in the same room. I don't care about all the noises. It's like church. You all been to church? Y'all go to church. I know the people in the back of the room. I know y'all go to church. You know, church, they come in with those screaming babies, children misbehaving. Why does pastor want them all in the room? Because God's anointing is in that room. So the babies need to be in the same sanctuary. So I want the children in with the parents. And then I ask the parents, pick a box. But don't let your child see the box you pick. And then I say, compare your boxes. Do you have a dream that is bigger or lesser than the dreams of your child? And then we have this whole conversation. Parents and teachers, our dreams must be bigger than the children. It must be bigger. So, again, this is all strategy. You are not going to change black male outcomes unless you create a culture where they get their academic swag on. As long as black males are coming into your school community, pants sagging, no paper, no pencil, no books, and late, with an attitude, you're not going to get any high outcomes. But when you create a cultural shift, when they walk into your campus, yeah, I play football. I got straight A's. I play basketball. Woo! Dunking, AP. When you create when they have that swag, what happens is other young men recognize that swag, and you created some slight cultural shifts. This is really important, so I want to show you. I'll show you. This is, it can happen. You ought to be aware of this research. I talk about this in the book as well. This was the University of Michigan. They did a research study on the correlation between GPAs and social acceptance. What they found was that for white students and Asian students, the higher the GPA, the more socially accepted they were within their peer group. For black students and for Native Americans, the higher the GPA, the lower the social acceptance. So black males have internalized this anti-intellectual culture, where if you're a straight A, honor roll, you're a chump. If you're failing almost all your classes, you're down. This is a cultural construct that we have to break. You must recognize it exists so you can break it. If you look at it and you say, oh man, that's terrible, then you don't recognize to break it, you have to make what you get when you're a student so good that everyone else wants to get what's good. I'll give you an example. At Johns Hopkins Middle School in St. Petersburg, Florida, this is years ago when our oldest son was a middle school student there, we conceptualized an honor roll dance because based on the cultural constructs, all the middle school students wanted to come to the dance. So the honor roll dance, you could only get in if you wore your honor roll t-shirt. So the honor roll t-shirt was white t-shirt, oversized, gold, Johns Hopkins Middle School honor roll. Well, what happened? Children got the t-shirts, but they didn't want to put it on because they didn't want to be isolated. But when they got to the dance, the parents said, you can't come to this dance unless you have your honor roll. And see, there are some parents who got all the mannerisms you want on your campus. If you don't have, baby, you got to have your honor roll t-shirt to come to the dance. Woo, they jamming in there. Don't you want to be in there? Wear your honor roll t-shirt. Went back to the lockers. 700 students going across that campus. Honor roll t-shirts. Here is what happened, the cultural shift. Young men went to their classroom teachers that following Monday, and they asked this question: what do I have to do to get on the honor roll? First thing is come to class on a regular basis. Second thing is stop disrupting. Third, see, now you can prescribe all the things he has to do because you have motivated him to want to do better. So this is critical. In this room, give me an example. This is what we do at our church. We bring all of our 11th and 12th graders together. And again, this is our response to the research. We're going to bring them all together one Sunday a month for 2 years. So you start as an 11th grader on one side of the table, and then as the seniors graduate, the next year you move to the other side of the table. And once a month, all we talk about is what you're going to have to do to get a scholarship and go to college. We look at test scores, we look at grades, we look at GPA, we look at the transcript, we look at class rank, and so they're in the room. Now, here's the significance why I have this photograph up there, not just because it's over $5 million sitting across this table. These full scholarships, two Gates scholars at the Posse Foundation scholar. Here's what happens. There was a young man who was a basketball player. His mother was a teacher. She wanted the best for her child. The school wasn't giving it to him. She brought him down there one Sunday. She said, Mr. Wynn, can my 11th grader come in to, and we call this group the next episode because we're preparing them for the next episode. Can he come in? I said, yeah, come on in. I greet him. Come on in, young man. Now, at school, he's an athlete. All the girls like him because he's an athlete. Coaches celebrate him because he's an athlete. Teachers don't care about his grades because he's an athlete. He comes into this room. Being an athlete doesn't mean anything unless you get an athletic scholarship. So he comes in the room, and these students are engaged in the discussion about getting the money. You know, if you have a 27 or above on the ACT, that's where the money is. If you have a 1900 or above on the SAT, that's where the money is. If you graduate in the top 10% of your class, that's where the money is. We got students in this room, guys now, saying, Mr. Wynn, I got to take the ACT again because I got a 28 last time. I'm really trying to get a 30. The average score for black students in the United States on the ACT is 16.9. Then there's another student in the room saying, Mr. Wynn, Vanderbilt offered me a partial scholarship, but I'm really trying to go to Penn, and I'm waiting to see what kind of award offer I get from Penn. After the meeting, his mother asked him, how was it? He said, Mom, I have never been in a room with so many smart black people. And she said, well, were you intimidated? He said, no, I'm all right. She said, you coming back next month? Yes, ma'am, but when I come back next month, I'm going to know something. Mr. Wynn, where's that book you told me I need to read? What you're trying to do, tap into their intrinsic motivation. Put them in a room. And also, if you want the boys to do better, find your girls who are fine and smart. And tell the boys you can have lunch with this fine, smart group if you're on the honor roll. You can't have lunch with them just if you're not on honor roll. Change the cultural construct. So very powerful, very powerful. Again, this was our son. We recognized them. we recognize them in such a way, and this is critical, this is important. Oh, I'm glad. Every now and then something comes up that I wasn't planning to say. I want you to understand how powerful this is. We started working with this group of children when they were elementary students to prepare for criterion reference testing in Georgia. But because we created this cultural construct of becoming the best and the brightest, we had a young lady we started working with in the 4th grade. What we do is that Eagle, we have a special Eagle Award for students in grades 6 through 12 who have the highest GPA, highest male, highest female. In the 4th grade, she decided, I want to get the Marcus Award, highest GPA. Has highest test scores, perfect grades, straight A student. She gets in the 6th grade. She gets the Marcus Award, highest GPA. But here is the back door. Here's the byproduct. She took the SAT in the 7th grade, and she scored 1,600. That was higher than over half of all the 12th graders in the country, because she started with this cultural construct in elementary school. But what else is important about this story? I'm glad you asked, because what we did was we took her 7th grader, 1,600 SAT, into the room with the 11th and the 12th graders, and we did a survey. How many of y'all got 1,600 on the SAT? Not many hands went up. This is Kimberly Hathaway, 7th grader, 1,600. Maybe we can have her do some SAT tutoring. Well, now all the 11th and the 12th graders in, we got to step up our game. What I'm saying to you is that whenever you get a young man or a young woman from a particular demographic group who is excelling, you need to celebrate them in a way that makes an impression in a demographic group. And you need to do it in a way that is significant. You can do it in your high school. You can do it at the college level.